Well, hey everybody, I'm Liz LeClaire, an admin at CHWE, and I'm here with my new friend, Steve Moore, who's been following Kim for a little bit. He runs a technology corporation in Albuquerque, New Mexico, where he's developed and uses successfully quantum land healing technology. I'll call quantum scalar healing technologies, which he's going to explain. He's been having a little bit technical difficulties today. I'm going to be sharing a screen with some of his data and photographs. So, Steve, why don't you give us a minute, just a minute of your history, a minute, and we may do a longer format where we go into Steve's longer history. But Steve, in a minute, why don't you introduce yourself? Nice. Thank you for joining us today.
Good morning. My name is Steve Moore, and I'm actually located in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And I've been there about 40 years, and I'm working in the industry of agriculture and environmental cleanups. And I've been there for doing this for about 30 years and integrated to get better answers and to focus on what the true problems are in this scalar wave technology, which is radionics. There's a different names that people can put on it, but it's picking up the extreme low frequencies of every element, everything that goes on our planet. It's what NASA uses to tell you what a planet is created from, like SAF and the signatured frequencies of the given ones for each element. So when you're able to take a picture of either in the piezoelectric effect or digital, it will imprint and hold that information. And then we use a ELF piece of equipment instrument that picks up those. And that's what I read, and that's what we make our adjustments with. And for animals, humans, the environment, in any aspect. So we'll cover, I have a couple of examples just to kind of keep it in a layman
Yes.
version with some visual as we go forward here.
Yeah. So thanks, Steve. So my first question is, can you actually explain quantum scalar wave technology in brief for us?
Well, it's going to have to be in brief because actually it's one of those literally unknown and certain scientific and physics things that people are talking about. And it's somewhat like a scalar wave is propagated through the dimension of time and space. You've heard of 0 point energy. You've heard of Tesla wave and different physics. So it's picking up. I can have a picture from farm in Malaysia, instantaneous in real time. It can give me what the conditions are in that exact environment or with that human or animal instantly. So it's much farther beyond what we are normally, refer to. But it's wireless. It's a phenomena of even the physics professors and scientific, they have trouble trying to give it an explanation, but it definitely is real. And I've worked with this for about 30 years.
That's quite something. So how about some recent examples? I know you brought some examples you want to share, so let's get into that. That
But
sounds really
yeah,
exciting.
I'd be happy to. And what the sheets that I'll show on here, the example will be structured like this. We went to an Oklahoma buffalo ranch that was having a terrible time keeping their animals alive. And there's plenty of food that anybody driving by, and you see the animals out in these fields, and you would think, oh, they're fine and healthy, but they're so deficient in the nutrition of energetic, nutrient dense food. And it's hard to pick up, but when they were dying just left and right, I went in with some guys and we started pulling samples of the vegetation and testing it, and also testing the live and the live buffalo. And you have to, I want you to keep this in mind. The environment determines the expression of the gene. Am I on there okay? Or did I
Yes, you're fine.
lose you?
Just sharing the buffalo where you said there actually there's a lot of grass, but they're starving.
Yes. Okay. So with that, these animals are sitting there. Let me see if that. Okay, I got it. So I'm going to be off screen, so I want to see what you're doing here. So these animals are on the field that we're testing, and they were still dying, and they thought they had some kind of disease or something. But actually, what it is, the nutritional value there is so weak that all of their immune systems are compromised, just as humans have to go through. And what we're doing on the testing is we're scanning the fields to see what the frequency or the scalar wave frequencies or waves that are coming off of the nutritional aspect of the vegetation that they're in. And from that, then we can determine what we need to either add, or if there's a toxin in there, if somebody had sprayed it, if it had aflatoxins from somebody trying to spray Roundup or using other chemicals. So when we take the picture of just the vegetation and the fields on this 2,500 acre property, we find that it's very, very deficient in so many things. But to us, looking at it, it goes, look, they're in waist high vegetation. So if you have another picture there, Liz, that probably shows I have a dead animal involved in some of it. And from
Right.
that,
I don't want to show the dead animal, but we know what you mean.
okay, well, anyway, we'll go from that. But I mean, you end up with, let me switch this thing around again where we have it.
Mm-hmm.
There we go.
Yes. But yes,
so with that, we're able to then, I think I can go through that better if you have the test results.
yes.
And then I'll show, we have buffalo. I operate a farm in Albuquerque, Virgin Farming. And it's beyond organic. And that's why I refer to it as the virgin farming, which is, even the organic farms aren't really what I would say nutrient dense or anything like that. But in soil, energetically, through all the elements that you're going to see on these test results with other people's vegetation around the world. So we monitor it, and we're very OCD, so to speak, on making sure we're trying to get to the genetic expression to create the sustainable life that we all want to live. And we don't have the right model, but my background of traveling around the world, high Andes mountain vegetation where nobody has any diseases, they either die from old age or they have an accident or something. But different other parts of the world, I test the people that live there on the ground they're living from. And that's the mirror. You're only as good as what you eat, consume, and deal with. So with that, we're looking at, in this situation, these are the actual buffalo and the Oklahoma buffalo. I want you to look, we'll stay up in the primary part of it where it says general vitality on the left. And the frequency or the wavelength on that is that 09-49 is merely the tuning for that. It's not a rate that you have to find or anything like that. It's like a radio station. Turn the dial to whatever station, and that's the one you're going to pick up. Well, we're looking for the general vitality of how well all of the components that we're testing below that resonate. And in this buffalo field, it's at 73. The objective is to try to come into 400 to 600 is the range. It's like a light bulb. You have a 50-watt light bulb or you have a 500-watt light bulb. We want the higher number that is expression of that environment. Then there's so many other tunings below that, but ultimately you can see you're not going to see a real high general vitality and a very low or a bunch of zeros, and how much magnesium or potash or coppers, all of the different elements have to be there to support it to be up to 633. Subsequently, the other side of that coin is that 73 is such a low number, you kind of cross-reference everything else in here that is at 0 or 1 or very low numbers. That's on the positive things you're looking for. Then we also have the non-positive things toward the end of blockages, aflatoxins, and different other things that we pull up. I'm not sure if that can be viewed on this particular one, but Liz, if there's a way to scroll that, or does it scroll, or is that just the picture?
That's okay. Do you want the next chart? Is that what you're wondering?
Yeah, go ahead and go to the other one. And this
yes,
is
let me
from
just,
the field.
my system, my system's slow today as well, so I have to.
Okay.
So Steve, I recommend you can stay on camera. You don't need to turn it around unless you need to see your notes. But let me get to this. I apologize, everybody. My computer doesn't like me to do more than anything once. So more than any application open at once. So I'm just opening and I'll share screen again. All righty.
Yeah,
Of course,
we
when
had
you
an issue
practice,
here this morning.
it's all good. It's all good. It's just a little bit of a challenge. Come on, baby. Come on, camera. Just waiting for my stuff to come on here. When we practice this, of course, it's smooth, but now we have a live Zoom. It's like, no, I'm being slow. So,
Yeah, and we have to excuse me. My actual surface, I'm able to take the picture away from me, not the one I'm looking at, and I
let me
can't.
try this another way. I'm gonna try it another way. Maybe I'll try this, see if I can try it another way. All right, and see how that goes. Let me know if everyone can see that, and I will enlarge it. Hold on a second. Enlarge it for us. I thank everybody for your patience, but this is Steve's second chart.
The one we saw first
Too
is
much. Hold on. Thanks for
so
everybody's patience. All right.
it's tough for this to be done side by side, but we were showing the actual soil in the first test. This reading here has to do with the actual buffalo on land that we previously had a general vitality of only 73. And subsequently, you can see the energy of the buffalo is only at 68. Typically, you won't see it exceed the mirror of land that they're feeding from, but unless you have a lot of supplements that you're trying to offset the nutrient deficiency. Now, I want you to keep in mind, this is the correlation of what every single one of us has going on in our own life. I'm using buffalo animals to do all of my work because I don't have an opinion I have to put up with of everybody giving excuses and all the other things that you can just imagine. So I use an animal that eats to live, not a human that lives to eat. I hope that resonates with you because we're all kind of guilty of that after we're basically weaned from nursing as a baby. Then we're forced to eat whatever somebody puts in front of us, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. And our intuitive nature is like an animal. We will eat, if it's available, the highest energetic food. And animals travel and herds and migrate and do everything to do that. So we know it happens. We just don't pay attention to that detail. So on our farm, Virgin Farm Buffalo is at 591, the general vitality of it. And it's considerably healthier, stronger in all the functionalities of their anatomy. As you can see, there's a lot of things that show zero. It doesn't mean they don't function at all, but they're not thriving. They're just surviving. And I hope that resonates with you.
Steve,
So we're getting.
sorry, Steve, I want to
Go
jump in
ahead.
for a second. So the buffalo in Oklahoma, this is not a before and after. These are two different farms, right?
Absolutely.
You're showing an example.
Actually,
You do your work, you get these higher vitality numbers, right? Okay, thank you.
that's right. And the dates is in real time at the test on one of those is, and these are done with I can do it with the physical samples, but we use a photograph and the pixel in this situation because I'm using just an iPhone to do that. And the pixels pick up that you don't realize, but they pick up those frequencies. And prior to this, and I still use the Polaroid that prints out the picture immediately. So I keep one of those handy in case I can't print out a picture out in the field somewhere. I just pop up and take a picture of with a Polaroid. And as the piezoelectric effect of that develops and you start seeing the image that you took a picture of, you're actually encapsulating the crystallines and it's holding that information. Otherwise, it's on a pixel. And the higher resolution of a pixel holds as much information. That's a quick technical aspect of what we use and why we use a picture. Same thing, again, as I said before, that NASA is taking a picture with Hubble of all of the solar systems and everything, and they can sit and identify where all these elements in our universe and the different hotspots or what, Mars is made with cheese. I'm not sure what kind of cheese, but as a little kid, that's what we learned.
No, the moon. I thought the moon was made of cheese.
Well, okay, yeah, you're right. I'm sorry. Mars is a bar. It's a candy bar. That's how I think they came up with.
So,
So anyway, what I'm trying to demonstrate here is that quantifying from the physical animal and referencing where its environment is to support the phrase that I used earlier. The environment determines the expression of the gene. that animal in Oklahoma, whether it's their cow, their buffalo, or their chickens, or even the people that are going to just live on that land, are very malnutritioned. So subsequently, the industry thinks we got an answer. We're going to make all kinds of supplements. Well, they don't even know what the heck they're doing. I test thousands and thousands of different items, and most of it is all marketing and a good story. This quantifies it to separate the men from the boys or whatever it is that we're looking at. So we know exactly what we're looking at. We can put the picture of those buffalo on the instrument, and we have all types of different minerals from volcanic ash to oxidized coal, all kinds of different things that hold all this extra nutrition. And we can put it on that soil. It's not chemicals. We don't have to get anything made by a human, is generally the worst thing you can screw around with because of our arrogance and our egos, or we're after money, not a solution to the issue. So we put the picture on there. We stack the different nutrients on that picture that resonated a 68 on that buffalo or that environment, whether it's the ground, and then we apply it. We already know what it's going to resonate up to because we stack those energies or elements, just like Einstein, Oppenheimer, and everybody that wanted to make a bomb to get the maximum amount of energy out of it. There's a stacking order and they complement each other. So going through, if we were also back to looking at the nutritional side of the field, then we find natural sources of nutrients or elements in our environment. And the ocean is one of the best to pull from. Dinosaurs in there. That's what a whale is. I mean, that's our interpretation that nobody can explain how they've evolved. And the nutritional, we eat from there. I mean, we eat fish from there. And it's the highest energetic of taking those elements from the ocean, because I use ocean salts and I migrate it over to fix soil with the bizarreness of adding salt to your soil. But anything in excess can be a detriment, and anything in well balanced and stacked in the proper energetic order will resonate and give you what I'm showing you here. That's what we do at Virgin Farming. You can look that up. There's oil demonstrations of growing incredible vegetables with oil and coal and many other things that we use. And we have our own digesters that create the biology that'll adapt to most every environment that we work with. And that's where another missing link. If you don't feed, just like the buffalo, on their general vitality, you're not going to see any of the other bodily functions working right, because they're not getting the right enzyme, mineral, element, vitamin, whatever it happens to be, to trigger their functionality, the kidney, the spleen, the colon, whatever it happens to be. As far
Hey, Steve, I'm going to jump in for
Yeah.
a second because
Go ahead.
I want to ask you about, I guess we get the idea of the layering, and I do want to allow guests to ask a question or two at the end
Sure.
here shortly, but how actually is the healing affected? Like, do you send a product out? Can you go into that for a few minutes? How do we affect the repair?
Okay, on this situation, with this technology, you can actually, I don't do this. I use the technology to analyze the situation that we're looking at as you're witnessing. This technology also has the capability of broadcasting an element to this field or that buffalo or whatever it is by putting the reagent. We'll call that your vitamin or your supplement, and or the solution. We add it to the soil. So we blend and manufacture. Most of it's all blending, because the only thing we really make, but it's all natural, is the biology that we do in our digesters. So we make these products, put them together, and they're sold. We've shipped stuff to different countries in containers, shipping containers, to go make corrections in environmental issues that we have. So if you would, Liz, to kind of go through it quicker, you may be able to try to find that turf one so they can get a direct.
Oh yeah, I was screen sharing that. I'll screen share it again. I'll get the turf
If you
back up.
up, it'll give them a visualization.
Yeah, they have been seeing that, and I'll get
between,
it back up. Yeah, I'll get it back up. Yeah.
Because what you're going to see is you're going to see the difference between treated and untreated, and we put down a demo plot on vegetation to show what the actual effect visually so you can see it. Energetically, you already have, as you can see in this picture, the perimeter is an irrigated. Actually, in this situation, it's a park. It's all irrigated, and they start irrigating in about this time of year in March. And in March is when this, I think this one was put. I put our products, tested that environment, and put our products down, and then it just takes off like a chia pet.
So wait, Steve, you're
So we
saying
have,
chia pet. So Steve, sorry to interrupt. You're saying you actually send soil, you send some products to them that they apply to the land, right?
I physically did this one. This is what we refer to as a postage stamp demonstration. I'm actually in West Virginia doing the same thing, and I just came from Tennessee where we're doing it in other places. We ship our products in. We went to Google Earth to give you a quick thing. We go to Google Earth, we zoom in on these farms or these properties, and we figure out what is going to really light that thing up to make it look like this. So we take all of everything that quantum world that we're looking at, and we find all the things that will energize that, whether it's different organic products or biology, and then we go out and we apply it. And within 2 weeks to 3 weeks or less, you see this kind of a result. It's the same environment that they're irrigating in a circle as the irrigation head goes around, but this little square. So when they come out to look at it, they're over there trying to pull it up, thinking I put sod down or I painted it,
Huh.
whatever they come up with, because they've never seen anything respond like that. And this is a reflection of the animals that we were just looking at the test results that show you the outer area is where the buffalo would probably be eating and be in malnutrition, and our farm is like the green part. So if you just took this to get a chemistry test on it with some kind of a layman's version of an agriculture agronomy test, you would still see some significant differences. And it's pretty obvious in this picture. And a lot of what we do is to get somebody's attention, wake them up, and then either that or you can use kinesiology and have them go over and stand on that other piece of property that's malnutrition, muscle test them, and then have them walk over and stand on this vegetation that's treated, and they just light up. Their jaws drop. And that's what I'm doing. I just did that yesterday at different sites with different people. So that's kind of the shock and awe, but that's what it takes. And even at this rate, this is what the park and rec people told me. They had about 5 of them all stand around in a half circle looking at it. And I got to hear from fast. We can't even mow our grass the way to keep up with it. Well, that's part of the ignorant, not in a disrespectful way, but the ignorance of our interpretation. Because all you have to do in this situation is cut back on the irrigation. It won't grow as fast, but it's still going to be healthy and beautiful for our kids, which is what the point was. They're going to play soccer on this. All of our children were there. The funnier thing later, when the weather changed, we went back to show this plot to someone else. And the only place on this park where they had a blanket and they were having a picnic was on that square. It was just hilarious. And I don't know where the picture is, but I took a picture of it because even the human, I think it was more for the cosmetic purpose, even had an attraction. But if you do that little square on any agriculture land, I'll tell you what, you'll have elk, deer, wild animals jumping over fences, and they go to that.
Right. So Steve, this is great. This is great. I want to now open it up to allow some of our guests here to
Go
ask a
ahead.
question. If you guys would like to ask a question, I'm going to stop share. Sorry, everybody. Again, my system's so slow when everything's so live. And going to come back here. And if anyone wants to raise a hand up, feel free to ask a question of Steve. I know Steve has a lot more to share. We're probably going to do an hour-long webinar with Steve, but want to just whet everyone's appetites. Yeah. Anyone have a question? So to be clear, Steve actually will arrange to send oh yeah, okay, so yeah, so Peter, come on, raise your hand or come off mute and ask I think you're not on mute. Ask your question.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Hey, hello.
Hello.
So Steve, my name is Pierre. I'm from Canada, and I'm a co-founder of a project we started 30 years ago called an Eco Village, where we started to grow our organic food. We didn't really had animals, but so my question is, I was thinking about all the data um, you can get from your piece of land. Have you ever thought about using the pH level also of the ground to give you some indication about the health of the ground? Because to give you a context, a few years ago, I started to take care of my own health by being more aware about my own terrain and going with acid or basic, the pH level. And I think that it's really important to get this information about the pH level of our own body of our land, if you will, because there's a lot of new things and people who study the health of a soil or the health of a person that says that if we have a more not acid but alkaline body or alkaline terrain, it's a lot more healthy. So have you ever take measurement of the pH level on those sample of ground?
Yes, let me comment on that here. And on the test sheets, those examples of the testing, yes, we do, but we do it in a little different manner. We test for acid, not just look what the pH is at 7.2 or 6.8 or any of, not directly like that. We look at the energy value side. And on a human, yes, we do look at that. And on the soil, the same. On looking at that, that is an adjustment. That's a symptom of correcting a cause. And I hope that makes sense. We're drawn to, it's like like when somebody says, I feel I have a headache, they want to take something for their headache. Well, what caused the headache, or what caused that pH to be out of balance? It's not because you're not drinking enough high pH water, which, boy, they jumped on that, and all the marketing is done with 8.5 water to raise your alkalinity. Really, you're just trying to mask an issue. One of the main things is you don't have the right nutritional mineralization for your enzymatic activity to generate the right balance of alkaline to acidity, even in your digestion. So it's kind of misleading, because when you have somebody that has an acid reflux deal and they can feel like they're burping up acid, believe it or not, I actually would take vinegar, which is like completely the opposite of what somebody would do. But it triggers your body to generate a lot more alkalinity, and the enzymes start working different. But I used to have all those problems physically, which really goes back to part of my history of everything I had to do for myself. But on the soil, if you change the nutritional calibration, or the ratio of, say, calcium to magnesium, and you have the right biology that is being cultured, growing in that soil, it adapts that environment for their proliferation. In other words, the organisms that we generate in our digesters are all from natural sources. We take products out of the ocean. And that the salinity is the biggest part of it. Everybody wants you to be on a low sodium diet, and that's absolutely the opposite of me with an opinion. It's the ocean. Go check the ocean. Our water, that water is about what our blood needs to be on acid to alkalinity or salinity. And we don't pay attention to it because we're listening to the people that were educated by a foundation that had a principle, a pill for the ill. And I won't mention Rockefellers because that would be the wrong thing to do, but you know what I mean. But that was done in the early 1900s. And that formation or that fundamental thing is what ruined everything that we're working with, from agriculture to our human health. If you just altered and monitored the 82 soil and make sure that salt level, diversified salt, not just clear sodium that you get out of Morton salt or something like that, but I mean an ocean salt from the ocean, because that is what's going to help regulate your digestion, period. That is one of the best things you can do, is get the proper source. And I'm going to clarify that real quick. Everything that's being sold in this country right now, and there could be very limited exceptions, because of the insurance companies, everything is radiated. I don't care if it says organic, all of it shows up with a 35-39, which is radiation fallout. And I guarantee you'll have a hell of a time finding anything that hasn't been radiated, because the idea is they're tired of paying for insurance claims. Like, that's why they chlorinate your water, to kill the good, the bad, and the ugly. Well, they're doing the same thing to our food, but it was already ugly anyway because of the chemical residue from all the terrible agriculture. And that disrupts your digestion, and you're going to have, acid and alkalinity and pH issues that everybody was monitoring, but they didn't know how to fix it.
Yeah.
And fixing is let the body do it. It will do it with the right tools. God's divine blueprint isn't flawed. Just pay attention to it. Mimic. That's why I've traveled around the world to find places where nobody has any of these health issues, and you test the soil, because I just showed you the good, the bad, and the ugly on the soil from the buffalo. Here's the soil. This is what you get. Good soil, good animal, good health. That's ultimately where it's at. But Pierre, if you make some alterations, I can help you with identifying these issues and quantify it with this type of technology, and I'd be more than happy to help you. That was probably a lot longer answer.
Yeah, that's great, Steve. Yeah, just to make time for anybody else have a question. That was an excellent answer, very elucidating. Anybody else have a question? You can raise your hand or come
Thank you, Steve. Thank you,
So
Steve.
You're welcome.
Yes,
I just sort of flew by it.
Yep.
So Steve, to track improvement or other problems, do you have to have current pictures or images, or how do you do that?
Well, from the pictures that you take, they actually, I'm going to use the word DNA. No matter what your health condition is, your DNA is still your DNA. So the pictures that we use, I have Polaroids, I have digital pictures that are 5 or 10 years old. And when I'm testing that, it's real-time testing. So I'm going to give you an example. If I put the picture on there today of a field or a human or an animal that I took 5 years ago, it's actually like dialing your phone number, because your phone, you've had the same phone number I've had this phone number that I have for over 40 years. So it's the same phone number, so to speak, that we're tapping into on a quantum level of those scalar wave. And in a real time, it tells us what your current condition is, so that I can actually, that's where when I physically put a reagent or a substance on that instrument with your picture, it tells me exactly how you're going to respond right then. And if any of you have had the experience of having kinesiology testing or muscle testing, they'll test your muscle energy, pushing on it, doing different things, and then they'll have you hold something in your other hand or put it on in your energy field. Then they retest you, and immediately it affects you, good, bad, or indifferent. So it's an instantaneous result in your witness picture or a physical sample that would include, people use blood, they use hair, they use whatever they can, but the cleanest, most productive way to keep it is capture it, embed it in a digital or a Polaroid picture. Then you can pull it out of the archives of your library and run it right through, and you get an instant. Are we live or we lose you?
You went on pause for a little bit, Steve. You're back. Ginger, did that help? You're on mute also, Ginger.
Yes, that helped a lot, Steve. Thank you very much.
That's excellent. Okay. Anybody else have any questions?
I don't have a question. I just want to commend Steve for his clarity and explanation, and that we're so glad that you're following the CARE team. We need all the superpowers we can get. And I did hear recently something that I thought was pretty powerful, that when we use fertilizer per se on, let's just say, our lawn, that works on the grass but does nothing to restore the soil. So whether it's a human body or, of course, now you've so well explained, if it's the land, that we're dealing with, you know, some sort of a toxic soup, and everybody's toxic soup isn't the same. So, you know, how do you restore the balance? So again, thank you so much for such a great presentation.
Thanks, Kelly. We're going to do a probably longer format, so you'll get to hear more of Steve's history and his journey of figuring this out. And also to answer Pierre's question, there'll be, we're going to leave his contact information when I repost this recording to CHWE. Okay.
The other I might add is that you can get a lot more visualization. It's not as technical on my Virgin Farming website, which includes Global Solutions, which is what we want to market and distribute through whenever we get this, the funding put together to where we can mass produce what we're already doing. And then as well on that website, organic technology, which was the foundation of our origin of our work, but we actually put in a farm that we've had for about 15 years that I've been leasing and just demonstrating and learning more and applying things so that we can scale up to take care of what Kim is working on. And that's the direction of how are we going to be able to do this? It's not going to be done with cow manure and compost, because you're not going to do millions of acres, and we're not going to play ground, you know, in the backyard doing certain little, they're commendable, but they're not scalable. And our scalability, and actually where I'm at right now in West Virginia, is working with coal mines to get their coal, because they're burning it and have been forever. That is what we're going to restore our planet with. That is the solid version of the crude oil. And I've been in the oil cleanup business for 30 years at sites in different parts of the world. So the background of what I have is not from a book. I have no education per se with a degree of anything in that environment, anything like that. It's from the observations of nature and the divine blueprint, and paying attention and using this type of technology to quantify the decisions that we make to make the fastest, healthiest correction without taking decades to you know, go through some other ritual of agriculture that they're talking about. They think that it'll work, and they've aborted all of that anyway. They've completely ruined it globally. And we can put crude oil and coal all over the planet and fix it with the biology that we're doing with our digesters, because that's just like you eating food. If you can't digest it, then you're not uptaking it, the nutritional value of it, because it's not even being exposed. So there is a correlation with the soil having to have the right nutrition, having to have the right biology. So you have to address the biology, the chemistry, the physics, and the quantum energy field to function in this planet. And you can't leave any of them out, because it creates a deficiency somewhere. So you honor all aspects of the divine blueprint, and we can scale up to anything, anywhere. So anyway, I really appreciate you listening in, and hopefully
Yeah.
we'll get more traction on more property.
Yeah, Steve,
And
this is fabulous. Pierre has one more question. I'm just going to ask you,
Sure.
Steve. Pierre, keep it quick. I want to keep this this short for our viewers. Yeah, go ahead,
Sure.
Pierre.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, sorry for my French accent, Steve. I'm from French Canadian. So, but anyway, my background, Steve, is in electrical engineering. And have you ever tried to kind of connect electroculture? Have you heard about electroculture to improve like electricity movement in the soil to improve the capacity of the soil to regenerate itself? So the electricity will pull the information, the energy from the quantum field, if you will, and transform it into real food for the soil. Have you ever heard about that?
Yes, I absolutely have. And I'll tell you, in nature, that's something that everybody's made little coils, stuck it in the ground, and it does attract.
That's right.
Okay, so are you familiar with paramagnetic rock?
No.
Have you ever heard the phrase diamagnetic or paramagnetic? Either one of those phrases.
Yep. Yep.
Okay, so in nature, the paramagnetic energy in the soil is predominantly it's from volcanic activity where that rock energy is charged to pull in from the magnetic energy field of Earth.
Right.
So, and that's what you are actually wanting in the soil in a large scale. You're not going to scale up the copper coils and all. It's not going to happen. It's a reflection of it does work, but it's not as replicatable in large areas. And the difference too is that the variation of your result has to do with the type of soil you even set up to begin with. If you address the paramagnetic level and look at the CGS readings and increase that, what that's doing is it's a high attraction. So if you had a magnet and stuck it in your soil and you want to see if it attracted anything, now of course it would attract a nail or some iron,
Right.
but all types of different elements in the soil that it'll be attracted to. Copper's not one of them. It doesn't attract, but it does pick up an electrical field because it's a conductive energy.
Right.
But it doesn't work on the balance of the paramagnetic, and it can be physically in the plant. This is an example. If you put a high paramagnetic rock mineral on your soil, it's digested down to a colloidal side. It goes up into the vascular of the plant. Now the plant is the antenna drawing from Earth's, energies, but it's not so much that. I mean, it is that, but the oxidized elements in the atmosphere. So a weed is a receptor to a certain element in the atmosphere to heal the soil. So right. A dandelion is attracting from the atmosphere phosphate and calcium, and there's like maybe manganese. I can't remember all of them. And if that's showing up on your soil, it's trying to, by nature, this is the God's divine blueprint, is actually healing that soil. It's not coming from that soil, it's coming from the atmosphere. And that atmosphere has different elements that are oxidized into the atmosphere, and it pulls them in. All these different
makes sense
are the healers. And paramagnetics is really the stronger foundation of doing it in mass quantity. I mean, we treat land with high paramagnetic rock, and that changes to draw more from its, like you foliar feed a plant so you get it directly into the stomata of the plant. Well, if the plant is a good antenna, you've already drawn in this stuff,
right?
The elements that it's craving. So there's a correlation, but a stronger, more scalable is dealing with the rock energies.
That makes sense, Steve. Thank you so much.
Steve, this has been fantastic. I think we're going to have Steve back. What we'll probably do, CHWE will probably do, is let Steve loose on an hour-long webinar. And if I don't have it as a live, then we'll be able to record it better and have better presentation value. And we can publish that also to CHWE. And also, like I said, we'll have his contact information posted in the description box to the video. So I would like to stop the recording now. We can stay on for a few minutes. I just want to thank everyone for joining. This has been fabulous. Thank you for showing up, Steve, and letting us know about you. I also have been given to understand that, by the way, Kim knows about Steve and have seen his work and plans to, possibly fund it exactly when we have it, because that's the way we can heal the world, if we can pay to have these products put on, or maybe even energetically change things. But I'm going to stop the recording now. Thank you, everybody.